It's not like bunny ears, but the flags are still there.
Okay.
Move them.
Hi, everybody. And we're live. So I want to welcome everybody to my live organization Q&A tonight. And if you are here, please say so in the chat. And we'll get started. Okay, hubby's here, and he's going to let me know if I'm looking okay in the middle of the screen and so forth. So get a little tweak here. Okay. So if you are out there and you can see me okay and hear me okay, let me know. And today our agenda is going to be about some specific paper clutter that we had a question about, as well as small kitchen organization. So even if you don't have a small kitchen, I think you'll be able to glean some help from this talk. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to start with paper clutter. And I had a YouTube subscriber, or maybe not a subscriber. I don't know if she's actually subscribed, but a friend, a viewer. Her name is Melanie Mixon, and she asked for some help with paper clutter. So I'm going to give specific items that she asked for help with, and we'll talk through them. So the first one we are going to talk about is journals. She basically said she had paper clutter everywhere and was needing help with all of these different types of paper. And I even threw in a couple examples myself that I thought might be helpful. So my best advice for journals is to, first of all, go through them and decide and see if you really want to keep them. Maybe you're the type of person who journaled everything your whole life, or maybe you just have a couple special journals. But first of all, decide which ones you want to keep. And then if you want to keep them, I think that's fine. I don't think that's clutter, because that is a part of your life that you can refer to and go back and look at, and you'll never be able to get that back if you throw that away. So my best suggestion would be to find a very special place to keep these journals that you've gone through and decided which ones you want to keep. Maybe put them in a special area on a shelf, or maybe you want to get a special type of basket. I love baskets. Or just a special container, and just keep them all together. So that's my best advice for that. And then next, we're going to talk about calendars. Now, I was the type of person who used to keep every calendar that I ever had, the little tiny books that you carry in your purse, the wall calendars. And I do think calendars, if you are a paper calendar girl like I am, I think that they are useful for 1 year. And the reason why I say that is I like to pull out my old calendar. So let's say when 2021 comes around, I'm going to pull out my 2020 calendar, and I'm going to go month by month. I'm going to write in all the important things like birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. I'm going to write notes on when to schedule appointments, maybe my yearly physical or whatever like that. And other than that, I don't really ever need to refer to them. So that would be a good recommendation I would have, to go ahead and keep them for 1 year. Always have them in a place, the same place. Like I use huge calendars to hang on my wall in my kitchen. That's where I keep mine. And I just keep them beside my desk where you can't even see it, like out of the way. So that's my recommendation for that. Got a frog, so let me get a little wet my whistle here. Okay, next we're going to talk about coupons. Now, I used to be a huge couponer, but I'm not so much anymore, simply because I do shop at Aldi's and they don't take coupons. So their prices are so low that I don't really need coupons, I guess you would say. But I do use coupons for stores. For instance, Bath and Body Works. I use coupons for Bed Bath & Beyond. I use restaurant coupons. Now, a lot of coupons have gone digital, and that's my first tip I want to give you. If you can go digital, then go digital, and then you won't have to worry about the paper. But if you have coupons, let's start out with for stores that you want to use. I'm going to show you my little coupon book. It's not really a book. It's just a little sleeve. And my insurance agent gave it to me. And then, sorry, got another frog. I'm talking too much. The front is just a clear cover, and then I just slide all my coupons in there, and I can carry this right in my purse. And then I just clean it out about once a week or every 2 weeks, take out all the expired coupons, and then I will have them with me when I need them. So as soon as they come, I like to put them in here. So there's nothing worse than being somewhere and not having the appropriate coupon. So I use this for restaurant coupons as well. And then if you are a grocery shopper couponer, then I would recommend getting a container that fits the amount of coupons that you have. For instance, when I couponed back in the day, I had a box, it was about this big, and I made my own little dividers, and I carried it with me to the store. And I do recommend, if you are a couponer, put your name and phone number on it, because I've lost it more than once, and people were very kind and called me from the store, and I got it back at least 2 times. So what you're going to need to do is, if you are a couponer, you're going to have to be disciplined to go through the coupons, discard the ones that have expired, as well as continue cutting out the new ones and filing them. I would file them in the categories that make sense to you. Not necessarily, like, you could buy a coupon box with the little tabs, at least you used to be able to, and they might have categories that you don't even use, like, for instance, pet supplies. I don't have a pet, so I made my own categories and then put the coupons in there. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. You do have to be disciplined if you're going to be a couponer. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Okay, let's see. Make sure I went over everything about that. Oh, I also keep an envelope of Bed Bath & Beyond coupons in my glove box, because I get so many of those coupons, and they will not give you a coupon at the store. So I've been there before and not had a coupon, so I just decided to keep a supply in my glove box, because they let you use expired coupons there. So that's what I do with those, and you could do those with any place that you regularly go to and have a whole bunch of coupons. And another idea, if you wanted to carry them in your purse and you don't have access to something like I showed you, like this simple thing, you can buy at, for instance, Office Max, the little zippered bags, and they're made out of like a material, and they have a zipper at the top, and then you could stuff your coupons in there and carry them in your purse. And let's see, I think this is my last coupon idea. You can simply take a business size envelope and then flip it. And I just wrote my list for the week on there so far. I wrote Aldi's and a couple items. Now, Aldi's probably isn't the best example because they don't take coupons, but you can substitute whatever grocery store that you go to that takes coupons, and then put your list on the front. And then let's say you had a coupon for one of your items. You would just write a C beside it and circle it to let yourself know you had a coupon, and then just tuck your coupons into the envelope and take the whole thing to the store with you. And then you can just cross off your items as you shop in the store. That works very well for my mother. And they actually used to make pretty envelopes that say grocery list, and they have lines for you to write out your list. I don't know if they still make those, but she really lives by that little envelope. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, I think that's all of my tips for coupons. So next, we're going to move on to paper clutter with mail. I have a system with my mail. I've tried different systems that do not work for me, but I will tell you what I'm doing now and how it does work for me. First thing I do is I don't put, that didn't make sense. The first thing I don't do, I do not put mail all over in different places. So I bring the mail in, even if my husband brings it in, we put it on the dining room table, and then I try to process it immediately. That's the key for me. I've tried doing it a couple times a week or once a week, and it just gets behind and becomes a mess for me. So every day when we get the mail, probably that evening before I go to bed, or even the next morning, I go through the mail, immediately get rid of all of the junk that I can, that I don't need or want. And that includes, if you're still getting paper bills like me, then throw away the stuff in with the bill that you don't need, like the advertisements, or I pay all my bills online, so I don't need the envelope they give me. So get rid of all that extra fluff. And then when you're left with, let's talk about your bills. You want to put your bills in the same place all the time. And I have a real pretty folder that I use. We talked about pretty folders or pretty notebooks last week. So this is my pretty folder, and I keep it in a basket, and it's handy where I pay the bills, which is in my dining room. And I just pull this out, and sometimes I put the bills in order of when they're due, and sometimes I just throw them in there if I have time, if I don't have time, rather, to put them in order. So I'm collecting them all in the same place. And my method is I have a calendar just for bills, and I write the due dates of all the bills on, and then I back up 1 week and I write pay, like say it's AT&T, pay AT&T, and then a week later when it's due. That way, if I'm not on the ball, I have a week grace period. So that's what I do with my bills. And as far as the rest of the mail, I do have another folder that's been very helpful. Sometimes you get some mail that you need to take action on and you can't do it right then. So I actually keep a folder that says phone calls. And then I just pop all my items in here that I need to take action on. And that's been a lifesaver too. Even things that aren't mail, like if I'm heading up a family dinner, which I am doing this coming weekend, I just put all of the notes in there for that. And then, when you're done with whatever it is, or if it's resolved, you can get rid of it or file it or do what you need to do. So that pretty much covers my mail. There is one other thing that I did show you before, but I'll review it for those who didn't see this live. And then I will link the live below, and you can go and look at it for more details. But that is my household notebook. And this has things like invitations, although we're not getting a lot right now because of COVID, but in a normal world, wedding invitations, graduation parties, things like that. I put all of that in here after putting it on the calendar. So if you want to get a better taste for how my household notebook looks, I've already linked it below in the description box, and you can check that out. Alrighty, so that's pretty much the different types of mail that I get. If anybody pops on or is out there and hasn't said hi yet and has another type of mail that they wanted to discuss, just pop it in the live chat for me. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about newspapers. I do not subscribe to a newspaper at this time, but my husband and I have in the past. We were everyday subscribers first when we first got married, and then we downgraded our subscription to Sunday only, and then we just dropped it. So my best recommendation for you is, let's say you're having the newspapers pile up and you're not even reading it. First of all, do you really want to continue getting it? Talk to yourself about that and think it over. And if the answer is no, then cancel it and you're done. You don't have any more newspaper clutter. But if you really are getting value out of the newspaper, maybe you want to consider, like we did, drop it down to Sunday only. Or if you aren't sure, you could drop your subscription if you are a subscriber and just buy the paper when you want to read it. That's another option. But if you are going to keep getting it, then some of my suggestions for keeping that newspaper pile under control are: only read the sections that you're interested in. You are not obligated to read that whole paper if you don't want to. So I used to read the whole paper and I thought, I'm not even interested in this. Why am I reading this? And then another thing that was helpful for me towards the end of our subscription was I gave myself a time period of 2 weeks. And if I hadn't read the paper, then out it goes. So usually it's old news. And if you haven't read something by then, you're not going to read it. And then another suggestion I have is to make a time, schedule a time for each day when you're actually going to read the paper. So maybe it's in the morning when you're eating breakfast with your coffee, if you have the paper yet, or maybe it's after dinner or right before bed, whatever. But if you schedule a certain time that you want to do that and make it a priority, then it'll happen. Otherwise, cancel it. Okay, I don't believe that this one was asked about by Melanie, but I'm throwing it in, and that's receipts. So those can overrun our lives. We charge almost everything that we purchase, and I do need the receipts until I get that credit card bill in the mail so that I can make sure that I'm not getting charged for something I didn't purchase. So my best recommendations for receipts are to only keep the receipts that you need for taxes, returns, or if you have a major purchase that you're going to have a warranty on. Otherwise, things that are consumable like gas and groceries and health and beauty products, if you know you're not going to return it, get rid of the receipt as soon as you pay that credit card bill. Or if you're not a credit card person and you pay cash or by check, don't keep the receipt at all. You don't have to wait for a statement. In other words, just get rid of it right out the gate. And then if you do need that receipt for taxes, I talked about this in, I believe, the last Q&A I had, then you're going to want to have a folder just for taxes and pop it in there right away. Don't put it somewhere to get lost or forgotten about and you have to dig it out at the last minute. Just put it right in your tax folder. And then if you have a return, this is something that has helped me so much and it's so simple. I'm just going to use this envelope again. I ignore my grocery list, but just take an envelope and you can write returns on it. If you have a lot of returns, pop the receipt inside and pop it in your purse or somewhere where you'll take it when you leave. And then you won't be searching around for that receipt at the last minute when you're trying to return something. And also that keeps it foremost in your mind when you actually have this envelope in your purse. So that's another tip there. Okay, and then for warranties, I'm not sure if you're the type of person who keeps the keeps the instruction manuals, but I still do. I staple my receipts right to the instruction manual, and I write the date that I purchased it and where I purchased it, and then staple that receipt right on there. If you don't keep your manuals, maybe you look them up online, then you could have a folder just for major purchases. So maybe you're wondering, what do you mean by major purchases? I mean appliances, say you buy a new TV, a dehumidifier, something of that sort that you're going to have a warranty on and could possibly have a problem with before that warranty is up. Okay, so that covers receipts. And I already talked about the household notebook. And like I said, I did link that in there in the description box. So that sums up the paper clutter that I had. So I hope that that was helpful for you, Melanie, and anybody else who's watching. And if you do have questions and you watch this later after the live, then you can always put them in for my next time and we can go over those next time. Okay, let me get a little sip of water here. Next, we're going to tackle small kitchens. I do have a small kitchen, so this is easy for me to talk about. And this question was from Thrifty Tashi. So I appreciate you giving me questions, Tashi, and I know you did last time too. So when you have a small kitchen, you kind of have to plan ahead how you're going to use it. It doesn't just happen naturally that you can be efficient in a small kitchen, at least not for me. So my first tip I'm going to talk about is your countertops. When you have a small kitchen, you usually don't have a lot of counter space, which is my situation currently. So I would recommend that you clear your countertops as much as possible and only keep out the things that you're actually going to use very frequently. And to take it a step further, if you do clear something off that you use frequently, let's say you use the toaster every day and you just don't have the reach in, you open the door, you reach in, you pull it out. If you put something that you use every day in the back of something else, it's going to frustrate you to no end. So you want that one step easy access. So first of all, clear your counters of as much as possible. And then if you do clear your counters of something you use every day, put it very handy. Now, next, I want to talk about those cupboards. You're going to need to clear out items that you just don't use, because when you have a small kitchen, you just don't have room for extra items that you might use one day. So let's get honest with ourselves, go through our cupboards and remove those items that you do not use. If you don't use them at all, let's get rid of them. Donate, give them to a friend, consign them, sell them, put them on eBay, whatever. If you do use them, but it's only occasionally, then let's consider putting them in a spot that's not in your kitchen. Maybe a closet that you might have a little extra room, a basement area, maybe even a garage shelving unit. Something like, say it's a turkey platter and you only use it once a year for Thanksgiving, but you really want to keep it for Thanksgiving. Stuff like that. Or other seasonable items, or let's say a rice cooker and you don't make rice but 3 times a year, then consider putting that somewhere else. Okay, and then let's take that a step further. Let's say you wanted to buy a rice maker, but you're only going to use it 3 times a year. Maybe you can borrow a rice maker when you need it, or that turkey platter that you're only going to use once a year. Maybe you can borrow one from a family member or somebody, a friend or something like that. So keep that in mind. It seems like as Americans, we always go right to buying something. We don't put a lot of thought process into it like we should. So consider before you buy, where am I going to put this? All righty, here's another tip for you. Consider your wall space. If you can go vertical to hang things, to make more room in a small space, use every inch of your space wisely. I have a small countertop that we added to our home when we purchased it. And I probably within the last 3 or 4 years, I added a shelf right over the top of that because it was wasted space between where the countertop was and my next cupboard. There was a lot of space. So I put a shelf there and I'm able to put some extra items up out of the way. It's off my countertop, so it's not in my way when I'm actually, working in the kitchen. And it's been really helpful. So consider where you can tweak and get just that little extra bit of space. It can make a big difference. Something that I've never been a fan of, but it does work for a lot of people, is hanging your pots and pans. You could hang them on the end of a cupboard, or if you had extra wall space, or you could do one of those pot racks. So consider that. That could free up some additional space for you. And something that I have heard a lot from Fly Lady, I'm not sure if anybody that watches this video will be a Fly Lady fan, but if you are, you will know that her number one thing for you to do to get organized and to keep your house clean is to shine your sink. And what she means by that is to clean out your sink every day of all the dirty dishes. Don't leave them pile up. And she calls it, you'll get mystery water when you have to reach in and you don't know what's in there and it gets really gross. So that has worked well for me as far as I don't let dishes pile up. Rarely do I ever let them for the next day unless I've had company and I'm just worn out and I just can't, stay up any longer. But usually I do. I stay up because I don't want to get up to a dirty kitchen. I want to get up to a nice, shiny, clean kitchen. So if you can do that, that's going to help your small space work a lot better too, because you're not just piling on dirty items for the next day. So keep your dishes clean. And my mom always told me, have a place for everything and everything in its place. That's going to help a lot in a small kitchen because you're going to know where to put something and you're going to do it more likely than if you don't have a place for it. And you're like, where am I going to stick this? And you just shove it in a cupboard somewhere. Things are going to get out of control quickly. So that, I think, would help. That saying would help with any room in the house and with any size of a house. You should always have a place for everything and put everything back in its place. Okay, and another tip that I have for your cupboards is to go through your cupboards frequently and weed out any unused items, whether it be food or otherwise. So if you have food that you're not using, it's just taking up wasted space. You're not going to like it any better tomorrow if you don't like it today. So let's get that stuff out of our kitchens. And if you have things that you're constantly just working around and you're never using, whether it be dishes or pots and pans, anything like that, then go ahead and let go of them and free up space for something that you will be using on a daily basis or a regular basis. Okay, I do think I mentioned this item before, but I'm going to bring it up briefly again in case you missed it. In my cupboards, I like to use containers. And it could be a plastic bin or a shoebox. And whatever I am keeping in that bin or shoebox, when it's full, I don't buy anymore. And it helps me to visually see. I'll give you an example. Olives. I have olives and pickles. I have a shoebox or a plastic bin, and I have a row of pickles. I have a row of black olives, and I have a row of green olives. And when that's full, I don't buy any more because I don't need any more, and I don't have any space to put them, and it keeps me from overbuying. You could put it into work, make it work for you for different items. So consider that. It's called the container concept. And I learned that from A Slob Comes Clean. I love listening to her podcast. She has a lot of great ideas. Okay, I think that's everything that I wanted to go over with you tonight. That's all I had prepared. So I didn't have anybody hop on and give any more questions, but don't worry, if you do have questions as you're watching this later, then just go ahead and pop those on my Instagram, or you can even pop them in the comments here, and I'll see them for next time. And I wanted to let you know what's coming up. So this Friday, which is July 3rd, I will be hosting a collab. It's called the Tiered Tray Collab. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will have all of the details listed for that in my description box for you, should you like to participate. But it's actually, I forgot the word summer. It's the Summer Tiered Tray Collab. And I have asked you to decorate a tiered tray or trays for summer and show us how you do that. Not show us how you do it, but show us the finished product. If you want to show us how you do it, that's fine too. But my video is just going to actually show you the decorated tiered tray. So I'm looking forward to that on Friday, and I hope you can tune in for that. And then next week, I'm going to be catching up some of my thrifted hauls, and I will be showing you at least one thrifted haul. Recently, I've done some thrifting at an allotment sale, which I found some great items. I've been to a tag sale, and I've been to a couple thrift stores, and then eventually I'll get around to showing you the latest goodies from Dad's basement. Every time I go over, he says, "Come here, I have something to show you." So that's been a lot of fun. And I know a lot of you specifically mentioned that you like seeing things that I get from my parents. So if you're watching this on the replay, thanks for watching. And I hope that you got some value out of this. And I thank you for joining me. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.